on Indianapolis. The news starts now.
A militant leader taken out. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Pentagon says a drone strike in Baghdad has killed the commander of Kataib Hezbollah, who they say is responsible for directly planning the attacks against American soldiers.
U.S. Central Command says he was a high-value target, a commander involved in the planning and participation in attacks on U.S. forces. Now, this is part of the U.S. response to the deaths of 3 American soldiers killed by Iranian proxies in Jordan more than a week ago. As tension builds in the region, an attempt at a ceasefire in Gaza comes screeching to a halt. A Hamas counterproposal was dismissed as delusional by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He calls for complete victory, meaning the destruction of Hamas, and said the army will create the environment to bring the hostages home.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv. The Justice Department special counsel investigating President Biden's handling of classified documents has completed his inquiry, and Attorney General Merrick Garland says the findings will be made available soon. Garland did not release any details, but said he's committed to disclosing as much of it as possible once the White House completes its review of the document for potential executive privilege concerns. The search continues for 5 Marines whose chopper went down on the way from Nevada to California. The helicopter has been located.
The Marine Corps Air Station Miramar says a CH-53E Super Stallion helicopter that was reported missing Tuesday has been found by officials in Pine Valley within San Diego County. Revealing Aviation Unit, the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, is managing search and rescue efforts for the 5 crew members on board. The 5 were traveling from Creech Air Force Base in Clark County, Nevada, to the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar near San Diego when the aircraft was reported overdue.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. A federal judge in New York has rejected former President Trump's motion seeking a mistrial in the defamation case filed against him by writer E. Jean Carroll. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They mentioned a few more suspects. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending this hour. The defense team for the Delphi murder suspect want all charges dismissed. Donnie Burgess reports.
Attorneys Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie claim evidence that would have proven Richard Allen's innocence has been lost. Specifically, police interviews conducted with 2 men days after the girls were found. Those men are also accused of being Odinists. Allen's attorneys say several actions taken by police and prosecutors indicate either incompetence or purposefully manipulating the court process. Allen's attorneys want a hearing to prove their case. The next hearing is set for Monday. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A man helping a stranded driver push their car off the highway was hit and killed by another car, say Indiana State Police. 22-year-old Justin Dobbins was hit late last night on the I-70 westbound ramp on the Sam Jones Expressway. The driver who hit him stayed at the scene to cooperate with officers. Drugs or alcohol are not believed to be a factor in the wreck. 2 more performers have been announced for the upcoming NBA All-Star Game in Indy. One of them is from Indiana. Sasha Nixon reports.
R&B artist Babyface will be singing the national anthem before the game on February 18th. Babyface, real name Kenneth Edmonds, was born in Indianapolis in 1959. It was also revealed Wednesday that Academy Award winner Jennifer Hudson will be headlining the game's halftime show. The 73rd NBA All-Star Game will tip off at 8 p.m. at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
For tonight, partly cloudy, low temperatures in the upper 20s. Wednesday will be a mostly cloudy day, but warm. High temperatures in the low to mid 50s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
When life happens, Michelis happens to help you through it. That includes water, storms, fire, and the whole insurance mess. Working hand in hand with the claims adjuster, Michelis is your advocate, your voice, your local trusted advisor for cleaning up, building back, and moving forward when disaster strikes. Now that is an insurance policy. Make it Michelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
Expand your backyard living space with an Indy decorative concrete patio. Did you know that on average, our patios are less expensive than a wood deck? With a longer life, less maintenance, more color options, and more texture and pattern selections. We can even stamp your patio to look like wood. You can get a much larger and longer lasting entertainment space for your investment. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts, changing the way Indy thinks about concrete.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 free. Plus, free upgrade to triple pane glass, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Restrictions apply. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Life is busy enough without plumbing problems. That's why you need an expert to fix it right the first time. Plumbing may not be pretty, but we're pretty darn good at it. And we'll always give you honest advice at a fair price. That's the LD Smith Plumbing Promise. Call today for $50 off any plumbing repair, big or small.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel show.
All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening and hello, everyone out there in the great state of Indiana and beyond in the national. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. Let's get started. First, this evening, a little bit of fireback since Secretary Mayorkas was not impeached just quite by the House. Things got a little bit testy after it resulted in a 215-215 tie, and that, of course, does not mean that Mayorkas would be impeached. So what we ended up getting was one Republican actually flipping over and voting against Mayorkas impeachment so that Steve Scalise, who was away for cancer treatments, could actually come back at a later time and hopefully impeach Mayorkas. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show, but this is the key problem with Republicans not able to pull a sizable majority over in the House. These are the consequences that you find yourselves in whenever you're in some kind of a situation where you don't really place getting Republicans in office at the top of the list. Whenever you start making decisions as to hosting a lot of fancy dinners with a lot of fancy tickets and popularizing endorsements over raising money for candidates, you end up with a very slim majority in the House in a year that should have been a tidal wave of red. And that's the result. There are a lot of people that are blaming the failed first impeachment vote on Mayorkas on Speaker Mike Johnson. They're saying that it's his fault that as House Speaker, he should have been able to get every single Republican on board, which I guess if you can name one Republican that would be Speaker of the House, be he Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, or Moses, the great prophet, to actually lead the House of Representatives in a universal Republican vote, I will gladly support them today. It is not Mike Johnson's fault that 3 Republicans who are crappy Republicans defected and did not vote for the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security. It's not. It's not his fault. Any speaker, McCarthy, I don't care, Newt Gingrich, the corpse of Abraham Lincoln would not have been able to get that done with a slim majority that Republicans walked into. The albatross around Republicans' neck has been since 2017 Ronna McDaniel. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And speaking of situations regarding elections, we cannot forget that Republicans are also on a clock to squeak this vote by one single vote. Steve Scalise has to get back from his cancer treatments before the special election to replace New York 3rd's George Santos. You remember old Georgie Santos? Otherwise, in Indiana, we have a similar guy running for Congress, the name of Gabe. We'll talk about that another time. But George Santos, the guy who lied about absolutely everything in his life, from finances to war stories to how many degrees he had to the number of legs on his dog, he got expelled from the House. And now the election is between Mazie Philip, a 2-term Nassau County legislator who was born in Ethiopia, immigrated to Israel, fought in the Israeli Defense Force, and then immigrated to the United States. She has a very strong campaign, but the problem is she's coming in off the heels of the George Santos scandal. So kind of difficult to say Republicans are trustworthy and that she's a fantastic candidate, although looking at her record, I think that she is, when you have this issue. The Democrat is pretty much just a cookie cutter Democrat running in any kind of a blue state. Tom Suzy is a former member of Congress who held the seat for 3 terms, and then he got absolutely thwomped when he left to run for the governor of New York. Honestly, I think the Dems are probably going to take this one, which puts a timer on the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas. Now, here's the catch. I don't actually believe that this is a bad thing for Republicans. I think that as long as Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas stays in office, the better a chance Republicans have to clean up not just the presidency in November, but Congress. Getting Trump in office does not matter at all if Republicans do not take back the House and the Senate handedly. These thin, almost 50% majority and minorities do not work when you want to pass legislation like closing the border, like school choice, like banning drag queens and other perverts inside of public schools. You know, I just gotta say that it sounds like this is more of a situation in which we need to focus on the campaigning and not get in the way of Democrats making a mistake. Well, again, we'll be talking about that soon because albatrosses are in fact the theme of this election, and honestly, it's hilarious. It is the best thing I have ever seen because Democrats have walked themselves into this trap. Republicans might be walking themselves out of this trap. Speaking of Republicans that I'm not even sure walking is the right term here. Nikki Haley is limping away from the Nevada Republican presidential primary. Now, there's a primary and then there's a caucus, and there's a lot of a mess in Nevada. So some of this, a small something, is to be taken with a grain of salt here. But Nikki Haley came second place in Nevada to no one. Let me say that again. Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, who has policy stances, maybe, I guess, perhaps, she has lost to nobody. In the Nevada primary, none of these candidates was the one of the choices. They received 26,038 votes. Nikki Haley only received 14,328 votes. So, absolutely, just stellar stuff. Yep, whip up the applause. Excellent work, Nikki Haley. Very good job. Just jazz hands for an excellent job out there in Nevada, but supposedly she's supposed to take South Carolina. It really isn't looking good for her campaign, but we all knew that. Again, I know there are some county GOP chairs who are really big fans of Nikki Haley for some reason. The only thing that Nikki Haley seems to have espoused in her campaign was, and I quote, more moderate junk than any of the other Republicans, end quote. Basically, she would take what another candidate had suggested, and she would say, well, I like that, but let's not get too hasty. And it turns out that when the country is going to hell in a handbasket, people don't want you to just get up there and say, well, what if we just kind of, just kind of hung around, kind of ran things like Bush? Yeah, nobody wants that. And it turns out that as things continue, the voters are getting more and more shy of giving her any kind of support at all. And it's amazing because originally Nikki Haley was one of the favorites to be Trump's vice presidential pick. Up next, we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about these two albatrosses because, oh man, oh goodness gracious me and a bag of chips. If things pan out the way it currently looks like they are going to pan out, the Democrats are so deeply down in February. I am not sure that short of replacing Biden in the general, they can do anything to pull out for the election in November at this point. Stick around. You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Another news update is minutes away.
House Republicans take a step toward impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of Homeland Security, for a record surge of illegal immigration.
Mayorkas is the one who hasn't been square with the American people.
Get the facts.
This isn't about actually solving the problem.
Not just the talking points.
Plan to cut payments for parents who care for their severely disabled children.
$1 billion Medicaid shortfall.
They have a lot of explaining to do.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be.
Well,
Welcome to today's matinee.
Ever since we got Xfinity, my little sister and her friends can easily stream all their favorite stuff.
We'll start with 2 episodes of Top Chef, then Chopped.
When I was a kid, we'd worry about buffering. Now they just worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Enjoy these fine meats and cheeses.
These are just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese.
Indeed.
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Introducing the best value in live TV and streaming on the best network with Xfinity Internet and Now TV. Now through March 21st, get Xfinity Internet for $20 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, add Now TV with Peacock Premium. A $5.99 a month value included at no extra cost for just $20 a month. Switch today. Requires paperless bill and an auto-pay stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Now TV requires Xfinity Internet. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Stream Top Chef on Peacock.
If you're sick and tired of the aches and pains in your joints and you dread the idea of surgery, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Tony Katz here. The state of healthcare is always changing. Old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. So if you have pain in your knee, your back, your shoulder, right? It's from arthritis or an injury. You got the injury at work. You got the injury playing pickleball. You don't have to let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics, the revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. That's right, no downtime from work, no downtime from your family, no drugs, no surgery. Call QC Kinetics today to get your free consultation. You can even visit on Saturdays. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility. QC Kinetics is in Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. Call 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN.
Has the holiday season left you overwhelmed, stressed out, and overweight? Do you feel frustrated when you think about what you need to do to be healthy and feel better? You deserve a simple approach to a stronger, healthier, and more enjoyable life. Exercise Inc. has been helping people in Central Indiana reach their health and fitness goals for 20 years. The approach is simple. Strength train with a certified coach once a week for 20 minutes. Adopt the 9 simple habits you need to follow to change your health and lose weight. Then get out there and enjoy life because you'll be stronger and have more energy and you're going to feel better and you'll lose weight and you'll probably even look better too. And you may even be able to get off of some of those prescription medications. Exercise Inc., Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now in Fishers. The studios are private, no mirrors, no music, and no spandex. Just you and a professional coach working to reach your goals for the new year. Go to exerciseinc.com today to sign up for a free consultation.
Weather in Indiana. It's a couple of weeks. We go from Arctic sub-zero degrees to temperatures above freezing with buckets of rain. And you know what? That means potholes, ladies and gentlemen. I get off on West Street every day coming downtown to work. They're all over the place. It's one of the reasons why I'm a AAA member. For the peace of mind of their roadside assistance. Flat tires, dead batteries. AAA is there 24/7, 365 days a year.
And if you need new tires, AAA's got you covered with their mobile tire service, My Pit Crew. They bring the tire shop to you. I know this because I've used this service. Had a flat tire at home, called My Pit Crew, and they came to my house. All you have to do is visit mypitcrew.com, pick out your tires, and schedule the installation. And AAA members get a discount on My Pit Crew tire installation. So do yourself a favor and join AAA today. Visit AAA.com or call 844-GO-AAA-GO or stop by your local AAA office.
Guys, it's a new year. Low T Center can make it a great one if you've been feeling tired and grumpy. I've noticed a lack of motivation and drive. You may have low T. Low testosterone levels can cause weight gain, loss of muscle mass, and so much more.
At the Low T Center, they make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. And with their on-site lab, you're going to get results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com right now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Feels like I'm losing it.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. Waiting for a few things this fine Tuesday, or no, it's Wednesday evening. I've been having a real struggle with the days all week. Tucker Carlson is apparently finished with his interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and I've seen just about everything regarding that shenanigan today. And by the shenanigan, I mean that the European Union is threatening sanctions on Tucker for going over and having an interview. We haven't even seen the interview yet. I've seen accusations that he's, just going to ask Putin a bunch of really soft-handed questions and pave the way for Red Dawn to finally become a reality in the United States. I've seen that Tucker's only going to ask the hardest, toughest, most serious questions and save us from World War III. And my opinion on the entire matter is that I will wait and watch the interview, and I'll see what questions Tucker asks Putin. I'll see what answers Putin's translator gives, and I will deliver my verdict. But as usual, I just don't necessarily care as much when it comes to what other journalists, especially my contemporaries, cover. Mainly because it's one of those situations in which I like to have as much information as possible. And even if an individual conducts an interview in a way that I don't like, and I'm genuinely not talking about anyone in specific at this point, I still like seeing the interview conducted because then I can glean a little bit more from the subject of the interview. And this used to be the idea that people would go and interview those they liked, didn't like, and everything else in a bag of chips. But before you make some kind of a decision out there, boys, girls, and squirrels, just as I encourage you to read the bill when it comes to pieces of legislation, I encourage you to watch the videos of things. And if things make sense, look into them. And if things don't make sense, look into them. Be Bereans, as the scripture calls it. Always be double-checking what it is that you're hearing, because that's really the only way to stay abreast of everything going on around you. That's walking circumspectly. So, speaking of circumspectly, we can look around us in the United States political sphere right now and witness not only the secondly unique situation of having an incumbent versus an incumbent, which I believe has only ever happened once before, in which an incumbent has come back to defeat the other incumbent who beat him the first time, but we also have a situation in which both parties are universally held back in said November election by an albatross. So, for those of you who aren't getting the literary reference, an albatross is a very special bird in Greek mythology in which you're supposed to leave alone, because if you kill the albatross, then you will bring the wrath of the gods down around you. And so, in a situation in which sailors killed the great albatross, then everything was horrible, and they carried the albatross around with them for ages, and things were bad as long as they had the dead albatross hanging around. That is where the phrase the albatross hanging around the neck comes from. It's a lodestone that absolutely ruins everything going on around you. Like an unlucky talisman, for example. The unlucky talisman for the Democrats in this entire electoral season is Alejandro Mayorkas. Alejandro Mayorkas is the worst thing for the Democrats. And the reason he is the worst thing for the Democrats, and why actually I would argue it's better than anything that he stays in power, which he's going to anyway with the Democrat majority in the Senate. Even if Republicans in the House impeach him, he ain't going anywhere. Mayorkas isn't just kind of funneling orders from Joe Biden. For as long as we have video of Alejandro, he has been talking about this labor shortage in the United States and how the most important thing is to let as many people as possible into the United States. He has this very naive, really disturbed, childlike idea that everyone who's coming to the United States is coming here with the best intentions, and it's just like, leave it to Beaver, and it's just going to be super duper wonderful, and it's not. But this is the individual that through Biden administration's entire presence as leading the federal government, Mayorkas has consistently said the border's safe, everything's fine, there's no crisis. Even now, he is continually going in front of Congress and the rest of the country and saying that the border's actually fine. Republicans are just making a bunch of stuff up, which I guess you probably need to add Democrats to that as well, because when Al Sharpton gets on MSNBC and says that migrants are invading across the southern border, yeah, you've definitely jumped the shark on that one. So this is the part that really anchors the albatross to the Democrats. Mayorkas isn't taking orders from Biden. No one's taking orders from Biden. The real secret to the Biden administration is that each of his cabinet members are basically doing whatever they want. And by the way, my case in point for proof is when Antony Blinken pieced out for his prostate surgery, didn't tell anyone, and no one in the entire federal government, save like one lonely secretary, had any idea where the individual was. So our Secretary of Defense just completely evaporated. No one knew. If Biden was running the country, wouldn't have those issues. Well, I'm afraid to tell everyone that Alejandro Mayorkas is doing his own thing. And what he believes is that the United States is so destitute of people that no one is doing any work anywhere, that what we need is tons and tons and tons of immigrants and bring them all in, no stay in Mexico, and then grant everyone amnesty. He has said this on the record multiple times. And the more he continues to do so, and the more he continues to keep the border open, and the more he continues to absolutely ruin the lives of Border Patrol and Department of Homeland Security agents, the more the American public is going to hold immense amounts of scorn for the Democrats, which means Republicans are going to come out in greater numbers to vote, and Democrats are going to stay home. Now, on the flip side, Republicans have a different albatross, and there might be a silver lining behind this cloud. By the way, you're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. Thanks for joining us this fine Wednesday evening. The Republicans have a more significant issue, which is that Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman for the RNC, has, I think, probably the most unsuccessful reign as an RNC chairperson in the organization's history. And I'm scraping my mind because I genuinely cannot think of another chairperson who has done more damage to the electoral system for getting Republicans into office than any other person. She is 4 terms in. She has been chairwoman of the RNC for 4 terms, which is very, very rare, very uncommon. Her first term began in January of 2017. And then, again, the RNC chairperson presides over how many Republicans get elected. She lost the election of 2018. Republicans got their butt kicked. She lost the 2019 special elections. Democrats cleaned up in the gubernatorial and the national special congressional elections. In 2020, I mean, need we say more? Republicans did not win in 2020, despite a very good first term for President Trump in Congress. She pulled a draw out of the 2021 special elections, meaning that even though she got some victories like Glenn Youngkin's campaign, which she stayed completely out of, a bunch of campaigns that she did get involved in ended up being Democrat victories. And then she lost immensely in 2022. When I say that Speaker Johnson is not at fault for not getting Mayorkas impeached, this is what I'm talking about. And by the way, it wasn't McCarthy's fault either. I know that's not a very popular thing to say, but despite many of McCarthy's faults, it is not McCarthy's fault that we don't have a bigger majority in the House. We have records that McCarthy asked time and time again for more aid to Senate and to House districts in the 2022 elections, and Ronna McDaniel ignored him and held a bunch of fancy, expensive dinners and did a bunch of nonsense and focused and pretended, Ronna pretended, very, very just hoped and prayed that Donald Trump getting on Truth Social and saying, I endorse this person, was going to be enough to get them across the finish line. Well, by Fetterman, Oz got defeated. Not to mention the other Senate races around the country that were just as brutal. So Ronna McDaniel is Republicans' albatross. And the longer Ronna stays in, the more Republicans will suffer at the ballot box. Well, here's the good news. According to the New York Times and Washington Post, she is apparently leaving because things have soured between her and Trump. Trump has finally taken a second glance, Trump, the one who endorsed her several times, has finally taken a second look at Ronna when, according to the New York Times, Ronna would not cancel the GOP primary debates and has now decided that she's garbage. And also the entire Republican Party hates her because she's Mitt Romney's niece who runs the party like a Chicago Republican. You know all of the Republicans in Chicago, right? The ones that don't win elections. So Ronna McDaniel didn't like this breaking story that she was leaving because, I kid you not, everyone started celebrating. There was like partying all over social media. Local radio stations and newspapers around the country were like throwing confetti into the streets and through speakers. It was wonderful because with the Democrats stuck with Mayorkas and us getting rid of the albatross around our necks and Ronna McDaniel, we might actually have a chance here, guys. And not just to pick up Trump, but to pick up the House and the Senate. That's some powerful, powerful stuff. But then she sent out a memo immediately, and this is according to the Daily Caller. She pushed back a little bit and said, well, guys, actually, we're just going to focus. None of this is true. Myself and my staff are refusing to be distracted by the outside noise, and we remain committed to our mission, which I guess means that the mission of getting Democrats elected instead of Republicans. And there's, again, additional information that has dropped since then that things are getting even worse as Ronna McDaniel is kind of kicking and screaming on her way out because other spokespeople at the RNC who could have very easily told media, yeah, this is just a big hoax, nothing's happening, they're refusing to provide comment. And one individual who I believe is one of the either assistant chairman or the vice chairman made a comment to CNN that they would discuss this more after the South Carolina primary. Excellent stuff there. Up next, we're going to be talking to Malcolm Flex because apparently the left thinks working out is transphobic, white supremacist, and a whole lot of other things. So get your cringe seats ready as two dudes rip the left to shreds. You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Zero Res, and how about a good carpet cleaning right now while you're stuck indoors? Those stains aren't the only thing in your carpet right now. There's dirt and dander and bacteria and germs, and in the winter, you're stuck indoors where there's no escape from it. So you're breathing all that stuff. Zero Res can help you, and they'll clean 3 rooms of carpet starting at $119, plus a free hallway and 20% off all other services. Zero Res has this gotta love it guarantee that makes it easy to get what you pay for. Not only are the Zero Res techs trained to the highest standards, nobody but Zero Res has the patented electrolyzed ZR water that cleans with no soap, no harsh chemicals, and no residue to attract more dirt. Schedule the real carpet cleaning professionals online today at ZeroResIndy.com and mention WIBC. You'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at $119, plus a free hallway and 20% off all other services. Easy to schedule by calling 317-388-5141 or online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here. Have you been dreaming of kitchen updates since the new year began? My friends at Hope Plumbing want to make those dreams a reality. Update your kitchen sink and Hope will give you a free kitchen faucet up to a $200 value. And if your remodeled dreams are even bigger than a kitchen sink, Hope can assist in all your plumbing needs. Call and schedule an appointment today at 317-641-HOPE or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com.
Hey everyone, it's Joe Montana. Spreading the word about pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can be life-threatening. If you're 65 or older like me, you're at increased risk. So, what's the game plan? A strong defense. Pneumococcal pneumonia can strike at any time in any season, so you shouldn't wait to help protect yourself. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination today and learn more at knowpneumonia.com. That's KNOW pneumonia.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Franciscan Health has been your hometown leader in heart care for decades. Recognized in 2024 by Healthgrades as the #1 hospital in Indiana for cardiology and by CareChex as #1 in Indiana for major cardiac surgery and interventional coronary care, we're proud to keep the hearts of our community beating strong. Franciscan Health, where our greatest reward has always been serving you. Take a heart risk assessment or schedule an appointment at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Hi, this is Denny Smith. C&J is offering one of their great discount programs, and it's one you've got to take advantage of to upgrade your home's water system. Invest in 1 item, it's $250 off. 2 items, $500 off. And if you invest in 3 items, you'll get $750 off. They're also offering $25 off a bacteria sampling, something you should be doing every year. Act now and make your water system goals for 2024 a reality with C&J. They're local and they're affordable. 317-733-SOFT or cnjwater.com. NoKidHungry.com.
Kids across America are going to school hungry every day. No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIPC.
Just a curbside prophet with
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. There was a little bit of an article that MSNBC thought was the right move to post last year, and it was this whiny, horribly angry piece about why the real home of far-right conspiracy, the real home of white supremacy, racism, homophobia, transphobia, dodecahedronophobia, whatever, was the gym. That's right. If you worked out, you're secretly encouraging racism. Well, there's a new study that has come out in the last year that was published in Front Sports Act Living, and it's a little bit wilder. So whenever we talk about fitness, whenever we talk about being a man and using your body the way God intended it to be used, we bring on the one, the only Malcolm Flex from Flex Your Success. Malcolm, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. You know, apparently I am just steeped and based in white supremacy as I continue to try to improve. I know. I'm quintessential. Again, if you were to look at the older world Aryan posters, I would be right there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All jokes aside. All jokes aside, for the people that can't actually see this, I am a 6'5" black male with dreadlocks. So, you know, that was all sarcasm, just to let y'all know.
Our listeners on the station are usually pretty quick to catch on that stuff. So there's this interesting study. It's by Denise Bell, Saijwar Rahman, and just the letter R, Roken. And the the medical study title is called Transforming Fitness, Intersectionality as a Framework for Resistance and Collective Action. And I'd love to get into the title alone, but the first sentence is perhaps one of the best things I've read in a long time. Let me read it for you. Fitness is a lifelong pursuit, yet many LGBTQ2S+ individuals are averse to group fitness or experiences in big box gyms. Averse to going to the gym. Now, I got to ask you right off the top of the bat, you're a guy who spends a lot of time making sure that people are doing the fitness thing right. You know, you're keeping your own life up to par, working hard on fitness. Have you ever looked to the left and the right and, you know, worried about what kind of sex life the people around you at the gym might have?
Well, you know, considering they're all very good-looking people since they're in the gym, I would say it kind of comes up, but, you know, I don't really split hairs on the minutia there. But no, not at all.
So on top of that, I just, again, have to ask, because when I'm at the gym, I'm not really looking to the left and right and wondering how gay the people next to me are. Do you think that being gay, being a lesbian, being trans, being whatever, do you think that actually medically prevents you from going to the gym? Do you think that, like, there's a sign on the outside of Planet Fitness that says, please don't be gay as you walk in?
I mean, what are we talking about? Like, trans amputee? Are they homo-limbed or something where they only have like one appendage? Like,
let's say they are a man, but they believe that they're a woman. Are those kind of people prevented? Are they banned from the gym? I can't think of any gyms that I know of that have that kind of an attitude, but maybe I'm wrong. After all, you know far more about that than I do.
Well, I will say, again, if you identify as a woman, we do have some lovely Zumba and group fit classes that you can do. And, you know, you can maybe tone down the intensity, but no preventions here. Again, when we talk about fitness, it's all about modifications. And I mean, what are we if not adaptable to, you know, those people that have disabilities, let's say?
Sure. Physical disabilities, of course, are, you know, a kind of a situation in which someone doesn't have the ability to run on both legs or use both arms. But the authors of this study said that a lot of fit people utilize the fitness industrial complex. So you've heard of the military industrial complex, ladies and gentlemen. This is now the fitness industrial complex to provide a framework to, let's see, the things that are heteropatriarchy and racism, fueled by white supremacy, and are often those things that are the cornerstones of the fitness world. Do you feel like, when you're really trying to max on a day, it's not leg day, but it's bench day. It's the day that you are busting out all of the stops. Do you feel as though on one side you've got white supremacy, and on the other side you have heteropatriarchy? I had to read that one slower. That's a new one for me.
They're going to trip you up with it, but I don't know, because on one end I see a couple of 45-pound plates. On the other hand, I see a couple of 45-pound plates, and if I'm doing my job, the only thing I'm seeing right now is a bar that will crush me if I don't get my work done. I just don't. I don't think that the people who have done this study or wrote these articles, I don't think that they work out very often. It doesn't seem like that's the case.
What do you see about the mental health, about the physical health, just about the entire person of an individual who actually does work out from time to time? Again, one of the things that I notice with some of the people that I work out with is that they do tend to change over months of working out, but I think you can probably phrase it better than I can.
No, that's actually 110% correct. I mean, pretty much it's all about change. And, one thing that I've started to realize is that once you get to a certain level of fitness, you don't just want to be that fit for no reason. You want to have that level of fitness, and you want to have a purpose to put it into place. So fitness is often a gateway for a lot of people to just go on to start finding purpose or finding actualization in other kinds of realms. And normally they use this newer, more refined, more honed and perfected body of theirs to that purpose. So, it's kind of twofold, because then that purpose then drives a need for more fitness. So that's what I typically see with most people. And that purpose can be a bunch of things. It can be societal. It can be that they just want to date and get a little bit more puniti. It could be a situation where they're looking to simply be better than the person that they were, because maybe they've went through a rough patch in their life and they just want to outrun whatever demons have been haunting them and sitting on their shoulders. Whatever the need, that's the change that we see when it comes to fitness.
On the Tony Kinnett Cast, you're on 93 WIBC with the one, the only Malcolm Flex from flexforsuccess.com. So I noticed in the list of things that you were describing, the purpose that people are finding at the gym when they're working out, that kind of gateway, I didn't hear you list racism. I didn't hear you list color at all, actually. I didn't hear you mention trans support, global inclusion. I didn't hear you mention the heteropatriarchy, which everybody knows the heteropatriarchy.
Yeah,
that's like on my mind all the time. So if you aren't seeing those things at the gym, then why do people, I guess the question is this, why do people continue looking for purpose after they start working out? What drives them from just starting working out, working on their body, to actually moving forward and improving other areas in their life? Since they're not finding racism and heteropatriarchy, what are they finding that's moving them forward to what you described?
All right, Tony, I'm gonna let you on a little secret, but I need you to come close, lean in real quick, little closer. There you go. Okay, so people who work out and make gains in the gym find out they can make gains in other parts of their life. So then they start looking for other things to improve on. Now, if you're one of the people that wants to bend life to your current self, you want everybody to comport to whatever you identify as at that very moment, maybe whatever your pronouns are, and there is no flexibility. You don't change. The world changes around you because, of course, you're that stagnant and fixed into place, and the world's just going to have to get over it and accept your truth. Well, you're probably not going to be the type of person to work out, because you haven't come to the conclusion that it's not the world that needs to change for me, but it's me that needs to change for the world. So people who do work out and do make gains in the gym, they've already understood, hey, I need to be doing more. There's more that I can do. There's further I can go. If I can change this, then I can go and I can maybe get that job I want. I can learn stuff. I can, improve. But that's just, those are two divergent sets of values. And I think that if a lot more people worked out, maybe embrace the fitness industrial complex, man, I really love that. I need
fitness. I know, that's great. I think a shirt that says that, right?
Fitness industrial complex sponsored. Good. That's perfect. But maybe if they did embrace that, they would start seeing some massive changes in their lives, and maybe they leave these extracurricular ideologies and sexual identifications and categories that, let's be honest, there's a new one every week. They pretty much drop like updates to your favorite video game. And it's like they would understand, hey, let's just get better. But
absolutely,
that's novel thinking though, man. That's awfully white supremacist of me.
Malcolm Flex, mixed martial artist and former D1 athlete, now running flexyoursuccess.com. Thanks so much for hopping on, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
History.
Historic election
happens.
Happening now.
Here.
Right here.
We have to do what's good for our party.
How badly the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump.
She had a very bad night.
What happens between now and South Carolina?
Every time I've run for office in South Carolina.
South Carolina, where I think we're going to win easily.
I've beaten the political establishment.
Happens here.
I did hear.
Your 2024 election information station, 93 WIBC.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping make us national sales leaders for the 7th year in a row. We continue to save our new clients 30 to 40% when compared to their current ACA, short-term, COBRA, or small group programs. Breaking news. On July the 7th, President Biden signed an executive order outlawing short-term health plans. If you're on a short-term plan or just unhappy with your present coverage, call Terry or Ron at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Our coverages are guaranteed to age 65 with zero deductible and zero copay options, all on the largest network in the country. Give us a call. What the heck you got to lose? As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Hey, got a question for you. Have you saved more than $200,000 for retirement? Do you want this money to work for you without taking a lot of risk? Hammer and Nigel here. What if you could take this money and get an upfront 13% bonus and get a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years? Sounds pretty darn good, doesn't it?
To get all the details, call Bill Demery right here in Indy. He's my retirement guy. He's your retirement guy. Call Bill right now, 317-648-5120. Discover how you could get an upfront 13% bonus, earn a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the last 10 years. And it's all backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. This offer won't last long. Call Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Are you looking for a fresh start in the new year? Hi, this is Pastor Micah Beckwith. Come join us at Life Church to experience the power of faith and community. Start your Sundays with inspiration, hope, and a sense of belonging. Our welcoming congregation and uplifting services will help you find peace and purpose in the year ahead. Whether you're seeking spiritual guidance, a supportive community, or simply a place to connect, Life Church is here for you. Embrace the new year with open arms. Check out lifechurchin.com for service times and locations. Make 2024 a year of growth, connection, and faith in Jesus. We can't wait to welcome you.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577.
Service today.
Today.
Look through your children's eyes, and you will discover the true magic of a forest. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast out of Indianapolis on 93.1 FM, as well as on Apple Podcasts, everywhere else you get your podcast, and live streams on Twitter, X, and youtube.com/WIBC. Now, the reason I bring the show back in at that particular moment is, Allison, I don't know if you've noticed on the radio for WIBC 93.1, some of the public service announcements, so that we have like sponsor commercials, and then we have public service announcements. And some of these public service announcements are getting really weird. I don't know if I heard this wrong. Allison, did you hear there's one for the forest?
Just public service announcement.
The
forest.
Okay, I get that, like the family council or the Department of Family and whatever, Child Services, okay, I get it. Talk to your kids about stress they might be feeling. Okay, I think that one's silly, but at least that one has like a purpose. Who's advertising the woods? And
I don't even think they're promoting like climate change or anything, or like taking care of the environment. It's just go out in the woods.
Yeah, it's not even conservation. Good old classic Teddy Rooseveltian conservation, I can absolutely get behind. But I mean, that would like be pointing people to like the American Conservation Coalition, or I would, thinking of Indiana, advertise like some of our state parks. And we've got some really gorgeous state parks out there that I really enjoy going to. A lot of beautiful woods and hiking trails and places to go to. But we're not even talking about like the Hoosier National Forest. We're just like, the woods. Do you see the trees? Your kid sees the trees. Go walk in the woods. Okay, as someone who grew up in central Indiana, allow me to provide a bit of advice for our listeners out there. Please do not just go walk in any woods that you see, because many of those adjacent to fields are privately owned. And a lot of farmers who are also hunters really do not like you dragging your stink through privately owned woods. This has been a public service announcement that doesn't have the catchy jingle or the deep-voiced Smokey Bear, but anyhow, the segment that I picked to close out the show with tonight, oh my goodness, was thank you notes. Because I was talking with a family member of mine this morning after my wife gave birth to our son, absolutely wonderful, lovely lady. Our church put together some meals for us, and several people brought those over. It was very sweet of them to do. Some people are having meals door-dashed over, which is like a new kind of convenient. I thought that I wouldn't be getting to enjoy Don Rigo's, which is our local Mexican restaurant. Every Midwesterner needs to have a favorite Mexican restaurant. And I didn't think that, with a newborn and a toddler, we'd be seeing the inside of that place for a while. And someone sent over some to us. It was fantastic. So we got out the thank you notes. And that's just something I was raised to do. And I like writing thank you cards, thank you notes. I actually have a huge pack of them that all have owls on them that I've had since high school. And I finished writing those up, and I looked online to go get some more thank you cards because I'm out of this. And my worst fear has come true regarding them. They're no longer printing that kind of thank you card, which is a real shame. But I came across, when I was searching thank you cards to replace them, there was an article from Slate that says, "Goodbye to the tyranny of thank you cards." And it's by this author named Laura Turner. She says, "At my baby shower, a guest piped up before I opened presents. 'Can we give you the gift of no thank you notes?' It was a revelation." And she proceeds to go through this entire article talking about how thank you notes are actually really horrible and terrible. So in the interest of everyone out there who isn't stupid, and I mean that, in the interest of everyone out there who is not stupid, thank you cards are awesome. Thank you cards are great. Here's why thank you cards are great. unlike every other holiday card, which is prompted because there's a holiday, where you go to Hallmark or you go to the Hallmark section of Walmart or your pharmacy and you pick up a card with a pre-printed poem or verse or picture of a cartoon making a joke, and you give it to the person who is already expecting the cards because it's that holiday and we give cards to each other. You then open the card, you look for anything inside the card like money or a gift card or, I don't know, perhaps an inappropriate limerick, and then you throw the card away. Thank you notes, thank you cards are different because thank you cards are not prompted by a holiday, they're prompted by gratitude. The point of a thank you card is not because it's some kind of tradition that we do after certain events, but it is because people took time out of their schedule to give you something that you appreciated. And it's that recognition of service and an act of thankfulness for it that's precious. I have thrown away every single birthday card, every single Christmas card, and my dad, Allison, my dad gets like the best Christmas cards. I mean, like, you open them up and they sing to you and it's like they do all this crazy stuff. Like, my dad is like a rural man, but suddenly when it comes to giving cards, he's like the maestro of card giving.
I love that.
Anyone in your family? Okay, yes, but I have gotten rid of all of those, which now makes me sound like a really terrible son. But I have kept every single one of the thank you cards I've ever gotten. Every one of them. My English teacher in high school, because I got her like a toy pirate pistol for her to fire in the air, which, you know, now will get you in trouble with the Indianapolis Star. But anywho, I got like all these thank you cards just from over my life, and I like them because they remind me of either gifts that I gave to people, and the real thing is that they appreciated it. Because everyone knows like what it's like to get a gift that like stinks. And it's like, oh, gee, thanks for the gift. And then you throw it away or, you know, you go return it or exchange it as soon as they leave. But to get a gift that's unexpected, not for a birthday or for a holiday, but just a gift that has some kind of special meaning, and you sit down and you write a thank you card that actually has some thought behind it, that is beyond precious. It really is. And so if I could encourage you guys out there this evening, write a few thank you notes. I sound like a teacher in a middle school classroom, but it's true. Thank you notes are infinitely more valuable than any kind of Hallmark holiday card. So write some thank you notes, keep some thank you notes. I used to have a massive like cork board in college that like had a bunch of ones that I'd gotten, and they were just, you know, special to me. You can keep them in a shoebox. You can throw them at your kids for a fun game because, you know, they're your thank you cards. You can do whatever you want with them. That about wraps it up for this episode of the Tony Kinnett Cast. Head over to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review if you like the show. If you don't leave us a review at all. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.